Hello everyone, welcome to the Kevin Lee Social. Thank you for tuning in. What initially began as an APAC series interviewing entrepreneurs to share and inspire how they've successfully pivoted during COVID-19, I have decided not only to continue this series, but also to expand on the scope to understand and learn about people's craft, philosophy, the challenges they face in the industry, and their favorite failures that have helped shape them to become who they are today. By going deeper and understanding different thought leaders, businesses, and industries, the idea is to help cross-pollinate ideas applicable in your life and inspire action in this new norm we live in. I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Before we get on with the show, today's podcast is sponsored by Altitude Tea. Altitude Tea specializes in rare and exotic teas you can't find on supermarket shelves. Teas grown on high altitudes are more nutrient-dense due to the cold nights and misty peaks that slows the growth of the tea plant, leading to a higher concentration of aromatic oils and richer flavors. They are located in Waterloo and they do private tea ceremonies where you can learn how to drink tea mindfully using a traditional gongfu set and have over 20 varieties of tea to choose from. For our listeners, you can use the code BEYOND at checkout for 15% off. Today we have James Rowdy. He is a visionary, futurist, contributor, public speaker, leader, pioneer, and Web3 culture creator. He had gotten involved in the crypto scene in 2017 and was one of the first 10,000 wallets in the world to buy and hold NFTs. He has had an extensive and proven career in sales, operations, marketing, business management, and building communities. James is the co-founder of NFT APAC, which consists of NFT Melbourne, NFT Sydney, NFT Gold Coast, and NFT New Zealand. They hold Web3 events monthly throughout Australia, New Zealand, and plan to expand throughout Asia APAC in 2023. Everyone, please help me welcome James. Hey James, my man, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time out for this podcast. I know you're a busy man. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this podcast recording, as I mentioned before, and I can't wait to get stuck into it. James, let's just firstly begin sharing a little bit about your journey with the audience. How did you get into the land of NFTs?
Yeah, so great question. I'm going to rewind back to 2017 when I first got into crypto. So like late 16, early 17, I bought a bunch of Bitcoin and rode that wave. And I was just fascinated by Ethereum mainly. And I started buying all these altcoins and stuff like that. And then was always buying bits and pieces here and there, and had a mate who was obsessed with it and he got me into it. Fast forward to 2020, obviously we had those big bull run and then followed by quite a long crypto winter for those 4 years. And then 2020, COVID hit. My background is in sales and marketing and construction, corporate construction for the last 14 years. And then, COVID hit and I just realized that, you know what, there's more to life. I started doing drop shipping. That went really well. I moved to Bali, Indonesia during the pandemic in September 2020. And went over there and to landed digital nomads over there. So I met amazing YouTubers, influencers, whatever we want to call them, entrepreneurs. And they told me about Rowdy NFTs. And this is back in the Clubhouse days when you had to get an invite only. So they gave me an invite only by Clubhouse. And September 20th, I went down the rabbit hole of NFTs. And then that sort of kicked everything off essentially. And I don't know, I had that light bulb moment and I got really loud on social media. I'm like, this is going to change the world. And for me, I don't know, I just found a lot of passion about it. And I'm just like, this is amazing, and just became fascinated with it.
Thanks, James, for the quick overview so far. Let's get into it a little bit more further. And let's begin with your time in Bali as a digital nomad. Oh, you're doing dropshipping from Bali, was that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I had quite a few like little stores. I was testing products. Some were quite profitable. I ended up doing some like skincare business for females. And it was like, I was basically drop shipping them from China into the US, living in Bali. So it was amazing. So there was a lot of people doing all sorts of things in Bali during the pandemic. And it was quite an interesting time. I'd been to Bali quite a lot of times. And then to go there where there's hardly anyone around, to businesses that are half shut down. The good thing was everything was incredibly cheap and it was very quiet. But it was just, I met some amazing, beautiful people there and had a really good time. But yeah, it was just mainly doing that. And when I started the NFT journey, I was one of the first 12,000 wallets on OpenSea at the time. So we had this hardcore community that was on Clubhouse every day, jumping into these, what we now call Twitter spaces. And we were just communicating and going, oh yeah, this, that. And back then when I jumped on, like everyone had a multiple wallet. There were probably only 10,000 people in the world. So it was incredibly early. And this is when people were just literally uploading any sorts of JPEG. And I remember at the time there was unofficial uploaded like Pikachus and Pokemon and stuff like this. And people were paying 30 ETH for them, right? Back then, I think ETH was about $100, but still I was like, this is crazy. People are paying that for an uncertified collection. And I was just like, this is wild. And then I think it was about November, December, Top Shot kicked off, NBA Top Shot. And then I dove deep into that. I was like, okay, this makes sense. A bulletproof brand like the NBA, it just makes sense. So I started investing. I got in early on that, done quite well. I still hold quite a majority of them. But this is when it started to pick up a bit of momentum. People started going in there, flipping, degenning. And that's when I guess that degen culture really started. Yeah, it was really cool, really good fun. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was just at its time, it was so new. Like I was telling my friends at the time and they were like, NFTs, oh, Rowdy, you're full of shit. Like, whatever, mate. Like, this is a scam. And I was just like, I just had that much conviction. I was like, dude, it's going to change the world. And once I had that light bulb moment and realized that this pack impacts every single business on the planet, that's when I just went all in on it.
Right. You come across on your social media and you've just said yourself, you've got such strong conviction about the NFTs and how it's going to change the world. Can I ask, why do you believe that is the case? Or what gives you so much conviction that this technology is going to change the world?
I think the main part is I've seen the crypto journey from 2017 and how it's impacting everyone now, and people made life-changing wealth and life-changing opportunities since to the 2020 when it started to kick off with NFTs and stuff like this. And the thing that gives me so much conviction is we are living in like a digital renaissance, if you will, where I just see all these cool startups, businesses, all these things, all these cool ideas, all taking place. And for me, it excites me because I'm like, I say this to everyone, especially in the bear market. I'm like, imagine the conversations we're going to be having in the next 3 to 5 years and where we're going to be. So for me, my whole life has changed ever since I got into Web3, NFTs especially. And I think once you have a huge shift in your life, something like that, you really start to pay a really close attention. You go, hey, I was here like 12 months ago, 24 months ago. Now look where I'm at and look at the opportunities I'm presenting itself. And I'm just so bullish on the future. I mean, there's one thing that you can't bet against, and that's innovation and technology, right? You will lose every single time and you bet against that. So for me, all these things give me that much conviction. And I just know that where James Rowdy is heading it's a beautiful place, and everything, like I'm on a great projection. And I think that everything I'm learning and doing is all thanks to NFTs and blockchain technology.
I'm with you on this. I think that the technology and innovation is here to stay. The cat's out of the bag. You're not going to put it back in. Well, say what, the genie's out of the bag. You can't put it back in. I'm really looking forward to how it's going to pan out in the next, like you said, the 3 to 5 year period and the conversations we're going to have at that point. You mentioned earlier, your life has changed completely over the last 12 months or so since this whole craze. Can you paint us a picture or share us a time where, like back then versus now, what was the difference? What changed your life?
So there's multiple things that changed my life. I think one being me growing as a person. That's really important, right? Growth is key to success. The other cool thing is the beautiful people I'm surrounded with in my life. I'm grateful for these people and the amount of energy and love and drive, ambition, I guess just success overall that they bring into my life and vice versa. So just meeting some really amazing, beautiful people, I'm grateful for that. And I think those are the sort of the main ones. I guess the other big thing is now I'm working for a Web3 company. We run NFT MELB. We do these IRL meetups every 2 to 3 weeks. That's grown. We now have people doing stuff in Sydney, which are friends of ours. And then we're also moving into New Zealand with that brand as well to do NFT New Zealand meetup. So That's exciting. That's happening at the 25th of September this month. But then also we've been working in the back end with the NFT MELB crew to build out. So I call it a collective, if you will, where we're not an agency. We're a very boutique collective. I mean, the reason why we call it a collective is because it's a collective of thoughts, a collective of ideas, a collective of leaders, a collective of OGs in the space. And we are providing very niche boutique services for businesses. The one thing that gets misinterpreted in the space. So let me rephrase that. I think the biggest gap in the whole space right now is education. People are coming into the space or 1-2 months. Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. Cool. Follow the trends. It's just, you need to know a lot more than that. No one's an expert in this space. I know people have been in since 2012. A lot of respect to them. I've only been in the space for 5 years in the crypto scene, and then coming up on my anniversary, the 2 years of the NFT. But it's just, I think the biggest gap here is the education. People go, oh, but what is it? It's a scam. It's this, it's a JPEG. It's a monkey. Like what? I think there's a big confusion there. So all these beautiful things that we're working on has had a huge shift. I guess just quality in life has changed. And I think that's the most important thing. Success is, for me, is waking up every day in a good mood. I live in a beautiful apartment here in Melbourne. I get to see the sunrise every day, the sunset. And I think it's just, it's grateful for that. So there's all sorts of other things. But the one thing, I think it's important for me to say this, that the reason why I haven't mentioned money, like, yes, I've made some good financial gains, but it's not about that for me. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important. And I want more people to understand that for sure.
Yes. And since you were talking about NFT MELB, how did because you essentially help run NFT MELB, right?
Yes, correct.
How did the founding of NFT Melbourne come about?
Yeah, Daniel Monch, he's the founder. So him and a group of friends, they started at a cafe, I think it was in November. There's about 8 of them. Started talking about NFTs. And then the next week, a few more people came, a few more. I think their official event started in January this year. And I went to that. I think there was about, I don't know, maybe about 30 people. Connected with Daniel really well. He invited me to speak at the next one. So it was 2 weeks after that. It was my first public speaking event. I went on there and I started sharing my knowledge and providing value to the audience. And that was like a big step for me. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I started coming to the others. And then he's like, man, we just vibed really well. And he's like, man, I'd love to have you part of the crew and help out where you can. And given my experience, I jumped in. I was like, cool, let's monetize this. Let's scale this brand. Let's start growing this into a really sizable brand in the space, especially here in Australia, and just start curating that culture, right? That NFT culture. I think the beautiful thing about NFT MELB, which sets it apart from all these other like meetups and stuff like that, is one, definitely the consistency. Every 2 to 3 weeks, we're throwing an event, and that keeps the community engaged, especially through a bear market. And the other thing is we do proof of concept events, right? We would be running different types of events, not always just, hey, let's get together and have a piss up. There's sometimes that we'll do a panel. And then there's other times that we hired out a factory and had projections on the ground, and we done like a really immersive experience where we streamed meditation and a breathwork in the metaverse with our partners, Bread Brothers and the MetaKey. And that was a really cool immersive experience. People weren't expecting this. And because it was a bear market, everyone's very emotional about, oh, all my money's gone to zero, this and that. And I guess it's more just going, hey, take a step back, breathe, just relax. This is adversity you got to go through, unfortunately. But as you come out on the other side, it's going to be really special and amazing. And we're going to achieve some amazing things. So I think that gives us the edge compared to a lot of these other events. But we're all about collaboration as well. So collaborating with some big brands, like I said before, Project Gojira, Takoa from Forgotten Ethereal Worlds, Danielle Weber, like huge, big names in the space. And I guess it's just cool to, every time we throw in these events, we're onboarding all these new people. I get a lot of people who follow me on social media. They come to the events, whether they're green or they know a little bit, they want to learn a little bit more. I think it's like I said, it's really beautiful because, we're curating that culture. And I think Melbourne's the best place to do it. It's full of culture and arts and it's got that amazing scene. I think it's just, this is definitely the NFT capital of Australia in my eyes.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm based in Sydney, but from what I've seen on social media and just in that space, especially in Australia, you guys are definitely had the NFT MELB crew, like how much you guys consistently put out. There's always things going on. There's, like you said, the Twitter spaces going on. There's events going on and you guys are always blowing up the space. Kudos to you guys. Well done. I wish I was in MELB. Then I'll be hanging around with you guys more.
Yeah, definitely. You'll have to come to one, man. We'd love to have you at one for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Every next time I'm down in Melbourne, I'll definitely hit you up, James.
Nice.
You mentioned education and community. It's true. I think I'm learning still. So many people are still learning. Even if you're in the space, you're still learning. It's such a big thing because it's continuously growing. It's continuously moving. I think that would definitely help people slowly adopt into this space with education, because with mainstream media, the way it paints it sometimes is that people can't get into it because they're just scared. They're afraid of what's happening, and they judge it before they even know anything about it, really. But I think also the key part, which you guys are doing really well, is building community. I know that you mentioned a few things, like how you guys stand apart, like building panels and doing all these projections and collaboration with all these other big names. How do you maintain and how do you start to build such a community? Do you start with a Discord like a lot of people do and then get everyone in there? Or do you believe it's the strong face-to-face meetups that really keep people in line? But then there's also like a larger community outside of that, right?
Yeah. So humans thrive off social interaction, majority of us. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, it doesn't matter. And I think that COVID taught us everything. And we were doing a lot more Zoom meetings and all these other things virtually. And now we've lacked that real intimate connection with people. So one thing that I guess we do at NFT MELB is, while we provide value consistently to the community, whether it be giveaways, information, education, and there's so many different forms of value that you can provide. And I think that's really important. So if we just keep engaging with the community, providing value, and these people, they come, it's like a real electric atmosphere. Everyone comes, they're really happy. A lot of people have come up to us crying because they're like, oh my God, I found like my tribe. And I guess that's a really cool thing when you're so passionate about something and you tell your Web2 or your normie friend about this and they just go, whatever, mate. And you start to definitely go through this divide where it's like, do I have any interest with these people at all? And then you come to our events, everyone's on the same page. Everyone's really positive. Everyone's really happy. Everyone's really loving. And I think that's what's the difference. And from us to grow that community, one is the consistency. Two, it's just providing value and just being genuine, transparent, honest with our community. Every event that we throw, the tickets are relatively cheap, $20 to $50. And we make sure that you get a ton of value add to that. So I think that's the main thing. And like managing our community through a Discord, but I guess it's other forms of engagement too. Twitter spaces are really important. That's one thing that's definitely helped us, just throwing consistent Twitter spaces and just connecting with the Australian audience. People like the Not a Social Guy, DJ Aussie Apes, NFT SYDNEY, NFT Bris Vegas, like all these amazing communities throughout Australia, and just connecting with them. And I guess just documenting the whole process as well. We've got a podcast and we just try and find all the amazing people in the space, connect with them, extract that information out of these people, and then provide that to our community as well. So there's so many different ways to do it in terms of providing value, whether it be, like I said, media perspectives, podcasts, reels, talk, all that sort of stuff, and just interviews in general, or just getting them to an event, getting some really amazing speakers to come up and just share their journey and share their story. And I think that's the way that we're doing it. And it's just had a ripple effect because we just provide so much value to our audience in a loving and positive manner. And they just come to these events, become fulfilled in such a way that's so powerful and impactful to them that they want to go and grab all their friends and go, oh, you've got to come to this event. You've got to meet these people. And that's really what we're doing. We're curating a culture and creating ripples. And yeah, I think that's the difference. And that's the way to building a really great community.
It sounds like a lot of value, but also a lot of work.
Yeah.
But building community is a full-time gig. You can't half-ass that. You got to really put the effort in and put in as much as they put in, if not more. Like exactly. Value. Can you speak to the strength of building a bottom-up community versus a top-down approach in marketing in that case?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I had this conversation with many people. I work in marketing now for a company called Banksa, and the whole Web2 marketing approach, yes, it's got some merit, but the Web3 marketing approach is completely different. So people just think that, cool, we're going to do some marketing and you're going to run some PR, maybe some ads on social media, to try and pump these collections. But the thing is, you're dealing with a really smart consumer audience now who have been through the scams, the rug pulls, and have earned their little badges, I guess, of honor. They know what to look for. There's, an undoxed team is a bit of a red flag these days. All these other little things, and they critique everything. So I think with the top-down approach from marketing, we're just going to run ads like this and that, you're not really engaging with the community. Community managers are so important, and just community management overall. I think that's one way to capture your community, build respect and rapport with them. And again, you've just got to provide value to keep them engaged, because if they're not, they're just going to disengage and this is a scam or a rug pull, whatever they decide to call it. But I think from us, for the bottom-up approach, like I touched on with us growing the community, providing value, that creates that ripple effect. So more people start coming to the community, growing. And with NFT MELB, we started with these events, eight people, 10, 20, then it's 50. And now it's over 200 people. And we've had over, I think, 3,500 people come to these events. So that's pretty wild when you start to see it, and we're starting to build it. And we've built a really reputable brand, and a lot of people know who we are now. So it's just, that's the difference with us. People believe in us, they invest in us. And I think that's the difference from a bottom up approach as opposed to a top down. There's just that lack of education, that lack of engagement, that lack of community management overall. And I just think it's that real old school business mentality when you're all right, cool, you do this, you do that, CEO, top down corporate style, it's a great business model in some aspects. But I think the emerging new technology that we've got has really shined a light on community built from the ground up, and what we can do as human beings when we all share the same passion and vision and come together collectively. We're pretty much unstoppable, right?
Yep. I agree. I think the power of community is becoming even stronger. It's always been strong, but it's becoming more and more prevalent in especially the Web3 space, especially when you're seeing all these brands blow up and you're like, where did they come from? How did did they just launch out of the stratosphere within such a short period of time? And I don't think that could have been done from the top down approach, but definitely from a bottom up approach.
Yeah, exactly.
For the audience that's listening, and they're especially small business owners or large business owners, they're thinking, but how does that impact us? We're brick and mortar businesses. What's this NFT thing got to do with us? Can you share with us your thoughts on how NFTs will impact brick and mortar businesses?
Yeah. So I'm really loud about this topic in particular, because I think a lot of people are just missing the biggest opportunity. People think that we're going to be flipping JPEGs forever, and that's not true. The bubble is bursting right in front of us, right? You've got Bored Apes are now down to a full price, I think about 70 or 80 ETH. The Mutants have come down from 40 to, I think, 12 or 13. Doodles, 25 down to 60. So this whole bubble of trade flipping and trading JPEGs is really bursting in front of us. Will it still be there in the future? Absolutely. Will it be as big? Probably not. I think the biggest opportunity that everyone's missing out on, and it's definitely what we're capitalizing on, is, okay, cool, there's millions of brick and mortar businesses out there. How do you implement NFT or blockchain technology into that? So the cool thing about this is NFT technology is so universal that it impacts every single business in one way or another. An example might be, let's say with your restaurant, right? Let's implement some NFTs there. You go, Rowdy, I want to implement NFTs. I go, okay, cool. So let's build a secret menu. And then people who get the NFTs, they get, you might do 1,000 NFTs. And then these 1,000 people, they get a special custom cocktail on arrival. I'll leave it up to you guys to make whatever it is. They might get access to a secret menu. They might also get a share of royalties. You might want to give back to these people going, these guys are spending X amount of money to purchase an NFT and support me. They actually get a share in revenues from the business. So everyone goes, why would you give away revenue? And it's why wouldn't you? One, you just created a community. More people are engaged. They're I support your restaurant. I come there all the time. I get discounts off my meals and all these sorts of things. And then it's reverse psychology as well, because these people are now got an invested interest into your business. They're going to be coming there more often. So you're still going to make a lot more money of these diehard supporters coming and supporting your business. And okay, yeah, cool. You give them a couple of % to keep them happy as a kickback. for them, they're like, oh, look, I spent X amount, I get X back. That's amazing. It's better than all these other restaurants that I go to and I spend all this money and I get nothing in return. So I think that's a really good way to do it. I think the cool things like throwing events, or you might at the end of the year going, like 1,000 people who supported me, I'm going to put on a special event in my restaurant at the end of the year, just for these 1,000 people. And we're going to have world-class chefs. We're going to have all these cool, fun, immersive experiences, drinks, food. You can display NFTs, all sorts of other things that you could do. And I think that's really pivotal. And that's what makes it so more attractive. Recently, I was exploring an opportunity with some investors who were going to buy a pub, and that business model was somewhat similar. However, it was we'd buy a pub and then we had, I think, let's say we'll do, 10,000 NFTs and then we sold them for $2,000 each. So it was $2 million. And it was like, after that, it's like, cool, we've raised some money to go and purchase a pub, raise some money to go and kit it out, put all screens through it, make it really cool, fun, immersive, name the cocktails after cryptocurrencies, NFT projects or whatever. But have 4-8 beers, whatever. So it's just like all these cool little fun things, utilizing IP and all these other amazing things. But then the cool thing is these people, they get one free beer or one free wine a week. They get 20% discounts off all their food. Again, it's that reverse psychology play. Like they also get distribution of profits. So it's like these guys are going to want to keep coming back to the restaurant, right? They're like, oh yeah, man, I got a VIP entry. I go there on Saturday night. The line's out the door. I can walk straight up with my friends, get everyone in, no dramas asked. So it's just, they feel special. They want to come more to the business and experience it more. And then at the same time, they're investing more money into the business, but they're getting a kickback because they're being so loyal and I guess investing in you and the business. So I think that's really exciting. The other cool thing is that you can just set up other NFT projects in that. You can do collectibles, you can do giveaways, and you could have a form of membership. Ticketmaster has just gone live on Flow blockchain recently to do NFT ticketing. Now that's huge. I always had this huge vision for that. In the future, I will go into an NFT game and a ticket would be an NFT. Once we scan that NFT, that would be entry. There would be a special photo booth there where me and my friends can get a photo that would get uploaded to your NFT as well. So think of like a trading card. Think of like a triangle prism. So on one side, there's a little QR code to get in. The other side is you and your mates having a good time in the footy. And then at the end of the game, they upload the 10, 20-second highlight clip of the game and the scores, all that sort of stuff onto the NFT. And then that's forever in blockchain history. I know like my uncle, he's huge into rugby. And I go up to, he's got a special rugby room in his house and, hey, check out all these old tickets from 1980, this, I went to this game, I went to that. And I'm like, you could essentially do that now as well with blockchain technology, but it's in your wallet and it's there forever.
Yeah, that's it. That's big news going into Ticketmaster with the Flow blockchain, and it's going to be even more mainstream than people think without even realizing it, that they're holding NFTs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I love the ideas that you came up with and using the restaurant as example, as a pub example. They're very real businesses. There's so many pubs and restaurants and cafes and all around. And these gated / membered / NFT holders perspective is a good one. And I don't think it's too far out of the way. For example, you see some of these extreme concepts come out like VIP NFT members only restaurant or anything like that. I think that's gone like too far on the other side. And especially people in Australia, when you're starting off like that, like how do you even maintain that or even get that started? Because we don't really have the mass people to support here to be like a complete members only opening from the beginning to end. I don't know, your perspective may differ because you're in that side of the world, but I find it hard to see it being supported right now at the get-go. But your suggestion was like access to a secret menu, or it's a part of it it's still that it's not completely in the Web3 space. You've got one portion for the customers who are into the space and wanting to get access to that space, but you still have the other side of the shop running as well, which is the good balance. You can call it 2.5, whatever you want to call it.
So just quickly, humans, there's only one thing that we can take with us while we live life, and that's experiences, right? That's what people pay for. They pay for these experiences. They pay to come to your restaurant and eat amazing food and see the Rafiq Anadol that you've got in the restaurant. So these are experiences that we all pay for. If we go to a winery, we pay for an experience there, tasting beautiful wine. So it's like, why can't we just make that into an NFT and token gate that?
Yeah.
It becomes a lot more easier to manage. And then it's just everyone's in the one spot. You've got your little community going, hey guys, I've got some special wine coming in over these next 2 weeks. If you're an NFT holder, you get to try it.
Yeah.
So it's all these really cool things that you can do to give back to people, and people just become more engaged with it. And I guess if you can bundle experiences into NFTs, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to take off. I think with the NFTs thing, like I said, telling the experiences, but then I think the other big thing in the future will be subscription-based NFTs. And it's still extremely early to that. We're already starting to see subscription-based models really start to take off with terms of Netflix. I think BMW just released a car and you can have the option to get heated seats as a subscription, which I think is pretty crazy. But it's just, I think these are other things to get as a subscription. So why not have an NFT that grants you access to a bunch of restaurants? So I think, and allows you to get all these experience. I think that's a really huge opportunity there in the future.
Yeah. And a bit more of a personal question in this sense, for my own curiosity. In a model like we just spoke about to roll out in a restaurant, don't have to go into full detail, just like a quick overview is fine, but how would you roll it out to the community? Would you target mainly members that are really in this space and go through the complete, you've got to set up your own wallets, you've got to do everything, you got to make the purchases on OpenSea or whatever platform you want to use? Or would you use something like a NFT.cred white labels kind of style where it's more of a 2.5, Web 2.5 version, masking a lot of the back end and people just create accounts and in the back end it's Polygon accounts and everything's created there? Well, what's your opinion on that?
I would do it. If I was going to do it, I would invite everyone down to the restaurant. I would put on some food and drinks, and then I would run an education piece on how to set up wallets, how this NFT is going to work, and really guide their hands and use it as an onboarding experience, but have it in a fun and immersive environment, right? If you gamify it, that's going to create engagement. Our attention span, I think it's 1 or 2 seconds these days, even maybe less. So if you go, hey guys, I'm down, we're going to do this cool fun event. And you go, all right, cool. And you can give them a bunch of information. You ask questions at the end of it and you have a bunch of prizes and stuff like that. Have a bit of champagne and maybe some nice finger food so people can get along. And it just really gets them thinking. And then you're going, okay, cool. This is an NFT. And then, oh, cool. And this is how we're implementing NFTs into our business. This is what it's going to get you. Oh, wow. The right people will see the value in that. And I think that's really important. So I guess you've got to have when you're educating them about things, I would go down that sort of like Web 2.5, if you're calling it that. I hate using that word, but if you want to call it, that's fine. But I think that could be a great start. But at the end of the day, they need to learn how to use a wallet and control a wallet. And if you become the person who onboard them into Web3, they'll always remember that. Like, I've been onboarded with a ton of people and they always come up to me and they go, oh, Rowdy, I'm doing this now. And it's all because of you. And I'm like, it's not all because of me. I was just like, you gave yourself the opportunity to come and listen to what I had to say and took that information and went and changed your life with it. And I think that's really important. So it's creating ripple effects, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about going more mainstream, the social media platforms are starting to go a lot more mainstream with the whole NFT integration. Like you've seen Twitter with the PFP projects, and then Instagram now is adopting it as well. I think they've rolled out a beta phase of allowing purchases of NFTs. Where do you see, or where do you think it will go with this? What would social media look like in the next 2, 3, 5 years with NFT rollouts?
Yeah, that's really cool. So this whole Instagram thing, like people don't understand how huge this is. It's going to open up a range of things. I've said this before to quite a few people, but the whole Instagram integrating NFTs is huge because one, it's a new feature. People will start to adapt to and go, okay, cool. This is the new thing. They'll start to learn more. So this is going to create huge adoption and onboarding for NFTs. And I guess just learning more about blockchain technology and stuff like this. The cool thing is they've got a wallet built into Instagram now. So you and I go out for dinner, Rowdy, we'll go halves in this. Cool. I'll send you a bunch of whatever you want. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Chainlink, whatever currency you want. I can send that to your Instagram name and just go, yeah, cool, done. But pay ID, all these sorts of things. So the other huge thing is Instagram is now going to create a peer-to-peer marketplace, because people will be able to hunt down the people who have got the Bored Apes, the Doodles, the Mutant Apes, the CryptoPunks, whatever NFTs, and start making direct offers with them, going, cool, I'll swap you this. And then straight away that user can look into their wallet and go, oh, I like that. Would you consider swapping that or selling that? And then now you've got this huge peer-to-peer audience. So in the future, it's going to be really interesting. I think in the future, I definitely think in the next 3-5 years, we'll see huge adoption over 1 to 2 billion users. That's my personal opinion. And I think it's just because it makes it more fun, because people are already flexing on there. Check out my lifestyle. They live this beautiful photogenic lifestyle on social media. And then now it's just another way to flex and go, oh, I own this NFT, or I own this, I own that. And I guess another cool way to manage their audiences and create more content and utilize them into the forms of NFTs and stuff like that. And the other huge thing that I see is platforms like OnlyFans and Patreon. They're really going to struggle now with the introduction of NFTs and wallets into their platform, because Instagram's full of soft porn, right? You've got a bunch of people on there wearing nothing, and you've got a bunch of other people on the other side who are jacked up on testosterone, horny as shit, and they like what they see. So now, instead of them doing an OnlyFans, they could have a token gated community using an NFT. They could profit off that. The other cool thing is they might want to send someone a nude or what sort of bit of content to them, and then that person can pay them straight away into their wallet, and they can charge whatever the fuck they want. So it's just going to be so much easier. But I think from more of a business perspective, when you've got diehard content creators, people will be able to go on there, see all their content, see all their digital assets that they own, all their NFTs, and do all that sort of stuff and go, hey man, like, what if we send you some Ethereum, could you do this NFT project for us, or could do this? And I think that's really cool and exciting. Like I said, we're living in a digital renaissance now. It's the time of the creators. It's the time of the artists. Everyone's getting rewarded how they should be. I think it's really important. If you're an artist, you need to look into NFTs. The whole social media thing, I think that's how it's going to play out. Definitely a lot more adoption into cryptocurrency with people trading. But I think it's just going to open up a pure peer-to-peer network. And I think that's going to be a huge challenge for people like a centralized world like banking and finance. I think that once the users understand that we can just do it peer-to-peer, that's where that true decentralization is really going to have a huge play. And I think that's what's really going to happen in the next sort of 3 to 5 years.
Thank you for the insights, James. There's a lot of key points there and a lot of exciting points that you've shared. Have you had a chance to play with the Instagram beta version with the wallets and stuff yet? Not yet?
No, I haven't. No, I don't think it's available in Australia. I think certain content creators got access to it. Unfortunately, my followers aren't big enough to get on the hot list. But yeah, no, I haven't yet. But yeah, I can't wait for it to come back. I was actually on a break. I took a 7-week break off Instagram just to do a bit of a social detox. And then when I read something on the internet that it's live now, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm back. But it's still not implemented here in Australia. So I think there's over 100 countries been rolled out to. I think they're at the bottom of that list, unfortunately.
Australia was behind, too low of a population, too much. But I'm curious to see how they will eventually roll it out, because do they expect everyone to create a wallet through a third party and then sync it? Or will they help on board and create wallets for people if you have an account already, making it more interoperable?
So there's a bunch of wallets. The main one that they're partnered with is Rainbow, but I think MetaMask and I think maybe Trust Wallet. I think there's another 1 or 2 that are available also. Like anything, people will figure it out. People will create content, reels, step-by-step guides, and they'll figure it out. When filters came to Instagram, people were like, what the fuck is this? They figured it out. Reels, they figured it out. Like, humans are smart, they'll adapt. And whether they like it or not, I think Instagram's doing it in a way where it's just, I remember when Facebook came out, everyone goes, oh, that's stupid. Facebook's stupid. Fuck Facebook. Now everyone's on it. Our mums, dads, grandmas, grandpas, like everyone is on it. So humans will figure it out. When people start to realize, oh, this is so easy. We can go out for dinner, transfer money between each other or whatever, and in a cryptocurrency. And then potentially that could increase in value. People are like, why the fuck are we using fucking fiat currency? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, there's going to be, look, all the big content creators will be doing promotions and I guess how-to guides and really shining the light on the huge opportunity here. And then that's what will just like, with that whole sheep effect, people start to follow people go, oh, this is happening now. And
Right.
with that.
Okay, we've spoken about a lot of NFTs and getting into it from a community perspective, how it impacts brick and mortar businesses. A lot of my audience probably are like very green to it. And so what suggestions do you have for someone who has been hearing about all this whole NFT craze, but wants to begin their journey? Where should they start?
It's a great question. Yeah, you can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. We'd love to have people down at NFT MELB if you are in Melbourne. If not, we're working on some webinars and stuff with some friends, more focused on onboarding and helping individuals. But I think wherever you are in the world, YouTube is just a library plethora of information, right? So you can go on there and you might go on there and go, what is an NFT? You might want one or two bits of content. And you might go, I still don't get it, Rowdy. That's okay. Everyone learns at different paces. So I think you go on there, you'll find a bit of content that's digestible and you relate to it and you have that aha moment. And I think that's really important. And then you go, okay, cool. I sent an NFT, but what's blockchain technology? Type that in there on YouTube. What's blockchain technology? And I guess you'll start to put the pieces together. And I guess there's some really good ones on there. But yeah, you watch a few videos and you start to learn. And then I guess you start to adapt. Go, okay, cool. I understand this. And then you might go a bit deeper and deeper. And then you might start following some influencers or people that you look up to in the space and who have a really good outlook on things, but also articulate it in a way is meaningful and understandable to them. Yeah, I'd say those are the main ones. There is a lot of content on there. It's easy to get confused and probably watch the wrong ones. But actually, look, I think from someone who's so green, I guess that's a great way to do it. Just to get an understanding, you'll learn that's not right and that's right as you go along. And everyone in the space is super, super positive and super happy to help out. People come up to me, I'm like, yeah, for sure. Let's catch up, whether it be a call or something if I've got time, or come down to NFT MELB and ask us a bunch of questions. There's some amazing people in our community who consistently show up and they just share all this value with the community. And I think it's just really cool. Yeah, those are the main ways I would say to get involved. There's just so much content out there these days. It's hard to miss.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I think, as you said, it's such a plethora of information on YouTube. Yes, there's a lot of maybe too much information out there, but you've got to do your homework, right? You got to do your hours of homework, put it in, try to do and understand as much as you can, and then reach out to people like yourself who have experience in the game and they can help clarify any ideas or anything that they need in that sense, because it's such a helpful community out there. Even on Twitter Spaces, everyone's just jumping on and helping each other. So it's amazing to see what is happening in that space.
Yeah, exactly.
We're reaching towards the tail end of our podcast recording, James. A couple of questions I regularly ask my interviewees. Do you have any morning or evening routines?
Yeah, I think everyone on Twitter knows my morning and evening routine. So I'm a very early riser. I get up at 4 a.m., the 4 a.m. club. So wake up and start my day. And the order changes because I do to shock it. But the main thing, I usually wake up. At the moment, I've been waking up, jump out of bed, and I'll do 50 push-ups. And then I'll try and hold my breath for a lot of them and just try and do it that way. Gets blood flowing. I feel great. And then I just start to play like intense motivational music. It's David Goggins, Jocko Willink, Andy Frisella, those guys. And it just programs me, gets me in the mood, do some meditation. I'll usually go to the gym, do some meditation, reading book. I think reading a book in the morning is amazing. Try and stay off your phone as much as possible. We're a blank canvas when we wake up. So if you go and grab your phone, start scrolling, you're entertaining the monkey mind and the monkey brain, and you're just like, it's going to dictate your whole mood for the whole day. If you wake up in the morning, sit down there with a coffee or a tea and just start reading a book, it's pretty beautiful. You start digesting information, you start appreciating it more and extracting all this value. And that value stays with you throughout the day. And I think so that's what I do the push-ups, do the book, and then I crack up the music and get into game mode. And then I guess just after that, come have a cold shower. I have a cold shower every morning. It's amazing. And then after that, it's game time. So I get 3 hours every morning, which is like me time, which is really special to me. And it just puts me in that mood to, all right, cool. What's the key task today? What are we doing? All this sort of stuff. And I think that's been detrimental to my success just overall. And it's just being these small consistencies, doing the reps every day. There's days you don't want to fucking do it. Those are the days that count the most. And I think that's really important in terms of evening routines. Like I said, my beautiful apartment, I see the sunrise every morning and the sunset. What I do like to do during the sunset, I've got a beautiful like chair that overlooks the view into the city, into the sunset. And I just sit there and I reflect on thoughts for the day. What went well today? What didn't work out? What's your yearly goals? Are the actions that you took today, Rowdy, impacting those goals and pushing them in the right direction? I think that's really important. All these sorts of things. There's a whole bunch of other things I could go through, but I recently cut out coffee. I'm thinking about 9 weeks without coffee now, and I feel amazing. My energy levels are at an all-time high, but my sleeping is so much better. And I just wake up with a lot more energy, and I think it's fucking unreal. And just the headaches and brain fog has gone a lot. So that's really important. But I mean, the other thing I use, things like mushrooms, cordyceps, lion's mane, reishi, it's like those sort of main ones as well. So yeah, those are the main sort of like morning and nighttime routine.
Wow, what an eclectic evening and morning routine that you have there, James. Lots of proven strategies there. Cold showers, exercise in the morning, reflection pieces, adaptogens. Go, James.
Yeah, exactly.
How many hours of sleep do you get? If you're waking up 4 a.m, do you sleep much?
So my body's like pretty happy with 6 hours sleep. Look, a great sleep for me is 7 hours. It rarely happens. I might be like every couple of months have a 7-hour sleep, but body can function fine from 4 to 6 hours. I guess when I was rowdy back when I was younger, all the benders and stuff that I went on, I guess my body just got used to like not sleeping for extended periods of time, but just learning to operate on minimal sleep. So it doesn't really faze me too much, but I guess when I do sleep, I just get really restful sleep, like cutting the caffeine out and just, man, 5.5 hours sleep now. And it's just like really, I feel amazing. Like at the end of it, I wake up every day and I'm like, oh my God, lots of energy. And I'm just like, shit, where other people will sleep 8 hours and then get out and they're like, oh, and I'm just like, they have a nice hot shower, they're relaxing themselves instead of shocking their body and activating their fight or flight system, the RAS filter. There's all these like things, all these like little life packs that have huge impacts.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a favorite book you'd recommend since you love reading so much?
Yeah, there's one book that I've read about 3 times this year and I love it. And that's called The Almanac by Naval Ravikant. Probably one of the best books I've ever read. There's a whole bunch of other ones that I do, but that one really stands out to me. And every time I read it, I just take more and more away. And I guess it just really helps me keep focus and on what's important in life. And also just really the habits and my behaviors and how they impact my decisions and guide me to where I need to be in life too. So I love that book. Yeah, I highly recommend that.
Yeah, every time I listen to Naval, I'm always inspired by him. There's obviously so much wisdom that comes from him, but from a life balance perspective as well, I think he's got it going on for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
It's that you've got that career and wealth side, but there's also the family side. And there are some people that are extreme. They are obsessive and they just shoot for the top and they're the top 1%ers, but then they sacrifice a lot in there to get there. But Naval is that beautiful balance between the two and the way his thought processes. I haven't picked up that book, so I'll definitely have to go out and grab that.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any new beliefs or behaviors that have had a positive impact in your life in the recent years?
Yeah, definitely the gym every day. That's huge for me. That's huge for my physical health and mental health. And it's just working out. It's more mental, if anything. And that's one thing that it's allowed me to realize that I can achieve anything I put my mind to. There's days where I ran an ultra marathon in my hotel room during COVID when I was doing my 14-day quarantine. And I was just like, and I'd seen people do marathons and I was like, oh, I'll run 50Ks. Didn't know it was an ultra marathon. I've done that for 6.5 hours. I was like, cool, I can do that. I can do anything. And I guess that's been a huge impact for me. That, and then meditation's huge. I feel like if I don't meditate during the day, I'll get triggered by certain things. Like there's small things that aren't really worth stressing over or something like that. I guess that was just keeping me more present, more grounded, more self-aware of who I am as a person and the behaviors that I do. So yeah, I think those two are huge. And look, anyone if you're in a rut or if you're just in a place in life where you're not happy and you don't want to be, I highly recommend that you start meditating. Just to do 10 minutes a day. You can listen to Headspace, Andy Puddicombe, or you could just go onto YouTube and search one. People go, I don't know how to communicate. So all it is, starts with a couple of deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. In, hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it. Let it go for 1, 2, 3, 4. And then do that 3 times over. You'll feel so much more better. But I think the gym thing, it's like, okay, cool. It's good for your mental, but it's good for your physical, but it's better for your mental, because when you start to realize, hey, fuck, like a month ago, I could only bench press 40 kilos. Now I can bench press 80 kilos. And you're like, shit. And you have that light bulb moment, you go, fuck, actually what I could do if I started an online business. Actually what I could do if I started this or put more time and effort into this. I think that's opened up a lot of doors for me, and then a huge shift in perspective and in my life for sure.
It's great. I agree. I think meditation and physical training are the 2 best things you can do for physical as well as mental, especially mental. They compound upon each other, no doubt. If you could only send one single line of SMS text to yourself 5 years ago, what would it be?
Go all in on crypto and NFTs.
Yeah. And finally, James, how could people reach out or learn more about everything that you do? What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, for sure. You can reach me on Instagram, jamesrowdy.eth. That is for the normies that don't know what ETH is. You can reach me there. Twitter, James Rowdy, LinkedIn, James Rowdy. These are sort of like the main channels that I'm really focusing on. I am doing TikTok as well, which is jamesrowdy.eth, but I need to pick that game up. But these are the main channels where I'm active. You can reach out to me, and yeah, I like to respond to pretty much everyone. Twitter's where I'm the most active. So you can find me on there and follow me and see all the value that I share.
Awesome. James, before we finish up, was there anything left that you wanted to share with the audience that you didn't get a chance to touch on?
I just want to share this. Whoever's been listening to this, wherever you are in your life right now, when you're in crypto or NFTs or you want to learn more, I would say just really focus in on this. This is the biggest opportunity you'll ever come across in your life. And you might think it's a scam and, that we're in a bear market and there's not much liquidity and, it will bounce back. It always does. It's the same as stock markets. They go up and down. So does crypto. So does housing market. Everything does. But I would say you need to take more risks in life, because the biggest risk you take is taking no risk at all. And I really think if you're listening to this and you sat through it to this point, you're the 1% who are going to make it. So if you can sit through an hour podcast, you can sit through an hour of learning more about cryptos or NFTs or blockchain technology, DeFi, whatever it may be. And I think you're on the right path. So yeah, I just want to give everyone that bit of advice. You can do anything you put your mind to. And when you really understand that and you see all these other amazing human beings around the world who have done these amazing things, you just go, fuck, if he can do it, so can I. And that's when you'll have a huge shift in your perspective and you'll start to open all these amazing opportunities. But yeah, I think just really focus on this huge opportunity that you meet some amazing, beautiful people in the space and it will change your life. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wag me.
Wag me, man. Wag me. We're definitely going to make it. I used to say wag me all the time. And look at, and everybody, but there's other people who are going to make it. And I get that. There are some people who aren't going to make it, but I think it's more from the perspective of whether you come into this space and you lose a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. I've made a lot of money. But the cool thing is I've met a lot of beautiful people and those have opened up opportunities. So you will make it in this space if you apply yourself like anything. And I think that's the sort of context that it needs with that whole wag me thing. But yes, I agree. You and I are definitely going to make it, Kevin. I'm happy about that.
Thank you, James. I'm so happy that we bumped into each other at the restaurant. It's built this friendship that we have now. And thank you so much for your time again. It's been eye-opening. I've taken down a lot of notes that I'll look over, and I'm sure there's a lot of value here for the people who, whether you're green or not into this space, it'll be valuable for them to listen to. Thank you again, buddy. Cheers.
Oh, brother, likewise, man. It was, I really enjoyed that night coming to your restaurant and us just connecting on that level and just building this amazing friendship. It's cool. And yeah, definitely looking forward to catching up again for sure, brother. And really appreciate your time and having me as a guest on this podcast. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy. See you in Melbourne.
All right, bro. Look forward to it. See you, brother.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. All the links to the show notes will be available at kevinleesocial.com, spelled KEVINLY. Conversely, if you have any interviews that you'd love to recommend, please send it over to kevinleesocial@gmail.com. I'd love to connect. Thank you. Until the next episode.